Hi, it's Kate Brownfield from ADHDkidscanthrive.com. I am your host of the ADHD Kids Can Thrive podcast, and I'm going to be your guest today as Kate with my ADHD Parent Coach hat on to give you some things to talk about today and think about. So I want to start with a reflective question before we get into it. Actually, I'm going to give you several things to think about today. But what if your child is not the first one who needs to change within the family and the family dynamics? And I know that question might land a little uncomfortable, especially if you're parenting a child with ADHD, because you're really tired. You're exhausted. I know. I have been there myself. And I have found as an advocate and as an ADHD parent coach, right? Many parents are waiting. They're waiting for their child to mature. They're waiting for the meltdowns to stop. They're waiting for the morning routine to finally stick, waiting for homework to stop becoming a battle. They're waiting for their child to remember, listen, follow through, calm down, or just get it. And I want to say this gently. Of course you're waiting. You know, you want this to end. You want this to come to a conclusion so you can all move on, right? But when we have a child that we love and struggles with emotional regulation, transitions, impulsivity, time awareness, motivation, and or follow through, it can feel like the whole family is holding their breath. You can see how smart your kid is. You see their potential. You see all the good in them. You see how much easier life would be if they could just do that one thing that you've asked them to do 1,000,000 times before they did it. But here's the shift that I do want to offer you today. Often the first change in the family does not begin with the child changing. It begins when the parents start seeing the moments that ADHD bring differently. When we see ADHD behavior only through the lens of they're just lazy, crazy, stupid, defiant, disrespectful, not caring, the list goes on, we often respond to that with more pressure and negativity. Or we give them more reminders, more lectures, more consequences, more urgency. And I say that with a lot of compassion because I'm guilty of all of those things. And I do know from my own learning and from coaching other parents, nobody is doing this because they don't care and they want to be mean to their kids, right? They're doing it because they're overwhelmed, worried, and just trying to help their child be successful. But with ADHD, when there's more pressure put on a child, that doesn't always mean they're going to, often it means they're not really developing skills. So more pressure does not mean skill development. Often pressure can increase anxiety. It can create shutdown in your child. You'll feel more resistance coming from them, more arguing, more shame, and more distance in your relationship with them. This is why parent support and parent training can be very useful. Research on behavioral parent training has shown over many decades that teaching parents practical tools can help reduce disruptive behaviors like aggression, defiance, and noncompliance. These approaches often help parents build a warmer connection with their child, use clear directions, notice and reinforce positive behavior, and respond more consistently when limits are needed. And one of the most important takeaways from the study I read this summer is that parent training appears to be broadly helpful across families, all families. So the review found that once families are able to access and consistently participate in parent training, outcomes are generally positive across all racial and ethnic groups. The authors argue that the bigger issue is often not whether parent training works, but whether parents can access it feel welcomed into it, and stay engaged long enough to benefit. That matters because parent training is not about blaming parents. It's not saying your child is struggling because you are doing it wrong. It's saying you deserve tools, you deserve support, you deserve a way to understand what is happening so you're not just reacting from a state of overwhelm and exhaustion. Parent training can be especially useful when the same battles keep repeating itself. Here's a short list. Morning routine's hard, getting to bed, screen time, homework, getting out the door, sibling conflicts, emotional explosions, refusal, big reactions to small requests, all of it. Does that sound familiar in your house? That matters because parent training is not about blaming parents. It is not saying your child is struggling because you're doing it wrong. It's saying you deserve tools, you deserve support, you deserve a way to understand what is happening so you're not just reacting from exhaustion. Parent training can be very useful when the same battles keep repeating in your home. In the morning, at bedtime, over screens, over homework, getting out the door, between siblings, emotional explosions, refusal, big reactions to small requests. Does any of this sound familiar? It can help you when you find yourself saying the same thing over and over and over again and nothing changes. It can help when consequences are not working, when lectures are making things worse, or when you feel like the whole home is organized around avoiding the next meltdown. And it can also be useful before things become a crisis. Parents do not have to wait until they are completely depleted or that their child is to learn new tools. ADHD is not just a behavior issue. It affects the brain's ability to pause, plan, organize, regulate emotion, transition from one thing to the another, having a sense of time and follow through. So when a child is struggling, the question may not be, why won't they just do it? A more helpful question may be, what skill or support or structure is missing right now? That question changes everything inside the room and the family. And this does not mean we remove limits. It does not mean we excuse hurtful behavior. It does not mean our children get to run the household. It means we stop expecting a child to access a skill they may not have available in that moment, and we begin parenting from leadership instead of reacting. This is what I mean when I talk about becoming the anchored adult in the room. An anchored parent is not a perfect parent. An anchored parent still gets frustrated. They still have hard days. They may yell or say the wrong thing sometimes. But an anchored parent begins to pause long enough to ask, what's really going on here? Is my child overwhelmed? Is this task too big? Is this transition too abrupt? Are they hungry? Did they sleep last night? Are their senses overloaded because there's construction going on the street today and it's super loud with the jackhammering? Is there anxiety really rearing its head today? Is there shame underneath this behavior? And what am I bringing into this? What are my things? Am I having a hard day today? Am I exhausted? Am I scared? Am I irritated at my boss today? What's showing up for me in this moment? Am I coming in with too much urgency because I want him to just get this thing done so I can move on with my day? Am I trying to control this because I'm really scared of what is going to happen if I don't? All that kind of awareness really matters because our nervous system enters the conversation before anything we say does. Our tone, our face, the pace of our words, our volume, and our energy are all speaking before we ever say anything. And our kids with ADHD, actually all children, but even the kids with ADHD especially, They're sensitive to all of that. They can read you as much as you can read them, right? So they may not always be able to explain what they're feeling, but their bodies can respond to the emotional temperature going on in the room. They are not stupid. So when we shift, the whole room, the whole family can shift. And it's not instant, it's not magical, and it's not perfect. But over time, when a parent becomes more grounded, more clear, more connected, and more consistent, the child has something steadier to borrow from, and they see it being modeled to them so they can learn how to regulate themselves. And this is called co-regulation. It's not permissive parenting. This isn't letting your child off the hook. This is about building conditions where growth becomes more possible for them. Your child, I guarantee, will change over time. They are going to mature. Their brains are going to develop, and they can develop skills as they grow and mature. But many ADHD kids do not grow because we demand it of them. They grow when we understand them better, we give them more support from a wise place, and we hold boundaries with more steadiness. So today I want to leave you with a question. Instead of asking, why won't my child change? Try asking, what is one thing I can change in the environment, the expectation, or the response that might help my child succeed in this moment? Maybe the task needs to be smaller. Maybe the direction needs to be more visual. Maybe the transition needs a little bit more warning and setup. Did your child eat? Maybe they need more food. Did they move? Did they get enough exercise today? Are they sleeping at night? Maybe they need connection before we get into what they need to do or correct what they did, right? Maybe they need a hug. They need some downtime. They want to just talk about something else before they get into what went wrong, right? So as parents, taking a breath sometimes before we have to do something with our child can make a very, very big and positive difference. Small shifts matter. Don't underestimate them. Because when you change the way you enter the moment, enter this time with your child, you change what becomes possible between the two of you in every moment. So if this is where you're going to learn how to understand the ADHD brain, regulate the nervous system, and anchor the home in real life. And I'm doing one-on-one coaching too, privately, if you would like that as well. But either way, Anchor Your Family is for 3 months, 90 days, $97 for total for all 3 months. You just join at any time you want. And there's recorded videos in there. There's ongoing chat for sharing and asking questions and learning from other parents. And then I will be hosting 4 live coaching sessions per month via Zoom to answer questions and do live coaching with you each month for the 3 months that you're in the program. So anyway, you do not have to figure out parenting an ADHD child by yourself. There are the resources I just talked about that I'm hosting. I have several colleagues who are hosting their own educational programs. So parent training is available, and I encourage you to take advantage of it. It is a lifelong journey of learning how to support your child and your family when somebody has ADHD, right? And none of this is about becoming a perfect parent, having a perfect family, right? It's all about becoming more steadier. Because when we are more steadier, the beginning of positive change can begin for you, your child, and your family. So I hope this helped you. And I will put all the links in the show notes. And I look forward to seeing you at the next episode of the ADHD Kids Can Thrive podcast. Thank you. Bye.